I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have back with us Bentzi Rabi, CEO of Utila. Bentzi, welcome back to the show, and thanks for taking the time again.
Thank you, Ashton. Thanks for hosting me.
It's been about a year or so since you last came on, and I know you've been really focused on business operations and helping with, on the crypto side, treasury management. I also want to dive into institutional stablecoins and where you see businesses going beyond just holding Bitcoin and Ethereum into the other categories like DeFi, etc. And 2024, when we first spoke, it was around the launch of the Bitcoin ETF. And institutional adoption has skyrocketed since then. There's many more businesses interested in crypto and blockchain. So I'm excited to hear your insights. I would love to start off with sort of a high level on what you and the team at Utila have been doing since then and what's the scope of the operations, and then we can dive into all the latest.
Yeah, thanks. So, it feels like yesterday, but it's already almost a year ago, last time we spoke, and I think that there was a big shift on the market on the positive side. Since then, there was the Bitcoin ETF early last year, and also I would say there was also the ETF moment of the stablecoin world. And I would put it on the acquisition of Bridge by Stripe by Q3, Q4 last year. Also the change in the government in the States, around the end of the year, beginning of this year. So we already feel, there are already like a few things happening. Mika in Europe, also early this year. In general, many positive movements. From our side, our bet from the beginning was that, every financial institution in the end of the day will leverage, crypto behind. It can be as a part of a trading offering. It can be as a part of a payments offering, or even just tokenization of real world assets, right? And we've seen a growth of demand in all aspects, like in all of those verticals. And I think that Utila today is a much more robust platform also compared to where we used to be a year ago. We have a lot of capabilities that are relevant for this, different worlds, whether it's like more like deep support for DeFi. We see growing demand on trading firms for this kind of capabilities, whether it's like more stablecoin oriented capabilities. So it can be like a gas management, connectivity to banking rails, connectivity to AML, etc. And also, I would say things around tokenization. So we added tokenization capabilities, support for multiple blockchains, multiple standards, protocols. So it's growing rapidly, and we feel that we are serving a main part of this of these use cases. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear that more businesses are getting involved. I feel like when there are large businesses or enterprises that are first diving into crypto and maybe it's foreign territory to them, one of the concerns and topics that's top of mind is security. And with the recent hack from the Lazarus Group in North Korea on Bybit Exchange, stealing over $1.4 billion in Ether, it's pretty crazy, historic hack to see that this kind of stuff is still happening. I'm sure businesses that are doing treasury management or looking to hold a lot of Bitcoin and get involved might be curious on how secure it is. Can you talk about Utila's security side and how you ease those concerns of businesses to ensure that security is top of mind?
Sure. So security, that's our bread and butter. That's our background. Me and my co-founder and most of the R&D team all coming from the security space. I think that in the end of the day, the sad news is that it wouldn't be like the last big hack in crypto. And I think that the reason for that is a combination of a really fast evolving market when you have all the time new protocols, new advancements, these kind of things, they all the time require like new set of security. You know, crypto at the beginning was private keys, and you know, mostly movement of funds, and then came smart contracts, right? And DeFi, and this was like a new um, place where organizations can be attacked because interacting with a smart contract is very different than just moving money, right? From around, and I think that and that's also like the area where was the attack recently. I would say that in the end of the day, we are trying to provide security as much as we can. And there is also like a part here that is in the end depends on the human. That is like, you know, signing the transaction and doing the action. We are trying to provide this person as much as information as we can, to understand if what he's doing is legit and if what he's doing is like the right thing he wants to do, right? But if we think about what are like the layers of security, so of course key management was also there and would always be there. Like that's the most interesting and important part in the end of the day, securing private keys. Then the second layer is how you secure internal operations in terms of like user management. Okay, so very similar to banking, right? Like in the banking world, you have also if a group of people having an access to, you know, to the money of an organization, and then you need to have, you know, the capabilities of setting like different roles and setting like transaction policies, etc. So that's like the second security layer that we provide at Utila, and this is also connected to authentication, which, you know, we have MFA and we have like different methods to enable organizations to provide like a secure authentication. And I would say the third layer is okay. Now we have secure key management on multiple blockchains. We can enable organizations to manage users, roles, permissions, and policies. And then okay, how we enable them or mitigate the risk of doing mistakes. Okay, so one thing is of course whitelisting, right, which was already there from the beginning of the institutional adoption. How we make sure that they're not moving to the wrong address, which is there are still mistakes, but this is I would say more or less like a solved thing. But when it comes to DeFi, it's like or you know signing just messages, it's a new vector of attack, and there you need much more visibility into what are the implications of any action that you are doing whenever you are signing a transaction. You know, in the Bybit hack, it was like one bit that was like one instead of zero, and that was all the attack there. Um, and you know, we are providing this info to the client. The client also needs to, you know, to make sure that the parameters that they see are actually the parameters that should be there. I think that here it was a mix of lack of visibility and also like a human error. You know, I don't have all the information, but based on like everything I read, I've been following this story pretty close. Actually, my CTO Sam, he wrote down a really good breakdown on what really exactly happened there. And I feel, you know, in the end of the day, we are trying all the time to be able to cover the new gaps in the market. New advancements means new security risks, and we are all the time working closely with some of our partners, who are other security vendors, with some other security leaders in the space, to make sure that we bring the best security to our clients in the end of the day. But still, we, as a nature of a non-custodial solution, we cannot sign transactions on behalf of our clients. They need to make the decision in the end, and we are providing them, you know, all the tools we can in order to be able to do the right actions.
Yeah, no, it's a great explanation. And I was looking at the different parts of Utila. I know there's trading operations, as you mentioned, different blockchains. There's so many that are coming out, keeping up with that. But there's also the treasury management side. Can you talk about why a business should and can do with Utila's treasury management and why it makes sense for them to use that service?
Yeah, I would say that payments in general today can be changed dramatically utilizing stablecoins. Movement of money between different geographies, I would say that's like the low-hanging fruit here. And today we live in a very international world, okay? Like I sit in Tel Aviv, we have clients all over the world, we have employees all over the world. Now it became much more easy, let's say, to make business over Zoom, much more easy, especially after COVID, right? To hire people remotely. And I think there is still a big pain when it comes to moving money internationally, right? Like you have bank account in one place, but in another place you don't have a bank account, but you still need to do a payment there, right? What's the best way to do it? You have a person who is actually living in a place that it's not that easy to get a bank account or US dollars bank account. Like what's the best way to move money to this person, right? And I would say that utilizing blockchain rails actually are solving every pain that I just mentioned, from being able to to move money to places where it's very difficult to move money today because of like broken banking, or just on how you manage internal money operations of your own organization. Okay, so SpaceX, I think it's a very good example. It's not a secret that they are utilizing stablecoins behind to do payments worldwide. And the idea is simple. Instead of like moving from bank to bank, utilizing like a chain of correspondent banking in the middle, which takes time and money to move, they can just attach a stablecoin wallet to different bank accounts and just move the money between them, right? And then they just need a leg of on-ramping and off-ramping in every jurisdiction, okay? So, and that's all. And then they can easily move funds from a bank account in Mexico to a bank account in Australia pretty quickly, much low charges than how much they will pay today. And they solve a big problem. I also spoke recently with the CEO of one of the biggest payments companies in the world, and he told me that a huge amount of money they pay every year just for banking fees behind. Okay, so I think that stablecoins can save a lot of that. They can bring fast experience, lower fee experience, but I would say there are also still some parts that need to be solved. So crypto is very good in being fast, but is not very good in being private. Okay, and I would say that privacy, for example, is still a big issue when it comes to payments. You don't necessarily want everyone to see like, what are your wallets, how much you pay to everyone, what do you get from everyone, etc. So I do think that there are still some missing parts here in terms of how you do private payments, for example. On the other end, there are also a lot of positive movements. So, for example, MiCA in Europe, bringing more regulatory clarity, actually makes it now easier to utilize stablecoins. And now we talk to a lot of PSPs, etc., that are feeling more comfortable entering the space. And we at Utila, we are aiming, in the end of the day, to be the leading wallet infrastructure for any kind of like money movement, right? I think that there you need like a new set of capabilities, whether it's like gas management, which is a big thing when you are moving like money around. You need to manage a lot of addresses on multiple blockchains. If you don't manage gas efficiently, the crypto savings might not be as big as they can be, right? So I think this is like one thing: better APIs, connectivity to liquidity, connectivity to banking, right? So we managed to create like a combination of everything that I just mentioned. And we see many businesses that you would not even dream of, like utilizing stablecoins behind using our platform or similar platforms.
That's really exciting, and I appreciate that lengthy explanation. I think it's really important for businesses to understand the savings and the efficiency of stablecoin payments. And I think that was part of the ethos of Bitcoin when it came out, and crypto in general was, hey, we can send money to the other side of the world in minutes or seconds for a fraction of the cost. And the percentage of businesses using stablecoin payments versus traditional bank payments, where they have to wait a week and go to intermediary banks and have crazy banking fees, is crazy. The amount that still haven't transitioned over. So with that process on Utila, how do you provide the ideal environment for that to happen? You mentioned having the on-ramps and the off-ramps in different jurisdictions, and then having the options of different stablecoins. There's not that many. I think with the Mika coming out, maybe there'll be an increase in the European stablecoin, but for now it seems like USDT and USDC, and then there's all the different blockchains which have different speeds and costs, although the cost difference is minimal. So how do you set up that environment for a success for businesses?
Yes, I would say the base of everything is private keys, right? And managing like multiple addresses. So when you think about a business or a PSP or a neobank utilizing stablecoins, so the first part they need is like the ability to manage wallets in a secure and scalable way. And that's like the basic thing that we provide. They need it to be multi-chain because they serve clients in different jurisdictions. In some jurisdictions, USDT on Tron is like the most popular payment method. In some jurisdictions, it will be USDC on Polygon. Okay, they want to be able to support different blockchains, and then they want to be able to support gas optimizations. Okay, so in many cases, they will need to create a lot of addresses for, let's say, getting paid in, and then they will need to sweep them into an internal treasury. It's not like not creating the wheel, just taking what they already doing in traditional payment flow and just doing it the same thing on stable coins, right? But just this sweeping requires a pretty complex gas operation management, because it means that they need to tap gas to every different wallet that they manage, and then they might tap more gas than they actually need, and then they would have a gas dust problem, which can actually end in losing a lot of money. So they need like an efficient way to be able to move funds from multiple wallets into like a main treasury, and do it in an efficient way when it comes to paying the gas for these transactions. They need connectivity to AML tools, due to regulatory requirements, compliance, etc. So they need the ability to connect these wallets to a Chainalysis or Elliptic or TRM or any one of these players. Some of them, they will need like a travel rule integration. Now, for example, in Europe, so we are partnering with Nota Bene, which is like a travel rule provider. They will need like reconciliation in the end of the month. So also in Utila, we have all the capabilities to track all the transactions and balances like in different dates. They need connectivity to liquidity, right? So some of them, they will need in the end of the day like an exchange account, and we also provide the ability to connect them and move funds to them. They will need connectivity to banking, and that's why we are now building something pretty exciting. So it's an on and off ramp marketplace, and that's a place where we actually let our clients to be able to connect to their own bank account. Maybe in the future it will also be third-party bank accounts in different jurisdictions, and we're using behind solutions like Bridge XYZ, borderless and similar solutions. And in a way, we enable our clients to manage a treasury, but also to provide a seamless connectivity to on and off ramps in different areas, right? So today in Utila, by one click, you can actually on-ramp, for example, US dollars to USDC on different blockchains, and you can also off-ramp in one click stable coins also to different bank accounts that you manage. I'm sure that I'm missing some things because we provide a pretty wide range of integrations and capabilities, but But I think that I mentioned all the base that is needed today. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it's so interesting to see there's so many different blockchain technologies now, and having stablecoins integrate into all of them is great. But then you have to move between them, and yeah, like Tron over here, Polygon over here.
So yeah, so for that we also have now we're adding soon the ability to bridge between different blockchains inside Utila, which is also a very needed thing, right? Like you are doing like an international movement and you got like again USDT on Tron, but you need to move someone USDC on Polygon. That's like the what they receive, or that's like what their off-ramp solution supports. So instead of doing to like an exchange, or instead of like now connecting to a smart contract externally, so they will be actually be able to swap inside Utila. So
Yeah.
we're also working on these kind of things. Yeah.
That's great. I was going to ask that. Is there third-party bridge, or once you have to change currencies or chains, then you also run into extra steps. So I think streamlining that process as much as possible for businesses that just want to make the payment. They don't want to have to care about which blockchain is which. Whatever gets the job done. That's great. Well, one other part I was going to ask about, because of course payments and stablecoin payments are super important, but now there's the expansion of functionality into decentralized finance and real-world asset tokenization, which I'm sure many businesses will be getting involved in as that part of the industry continues to grow. Do you also touch on supporting businesses in getting involved into other parts of Web3 if they want to?
Yeah, of course. So one of the main areas where I'm proud to say that Utila is differentiated than many solutions in the market is the depth of the DeFi support, and DeFi support comes in multiple areas. Okay, so from the ability to interact with DeFi on multiple blockchains, EVMs today is I would say is easy, but what about Solana? What about Cosmos? What about Ton? Okay, what about Aptos? What about Sui? And I think there we managed to build a pretty good user experience, also highly secure, that enables our clients to connect easily to DeFi on multiple EVM and non-EVM chains. We also have a lot of embedded security capabilities. So we just talked about Bybit. One super important layer when it comes to interaction with DeFi is the ability to understand what you're gonna sign, right? In terms of like simulating the balances changes that will happen if you will actually perform this action. The ability to understand what will be the actual transfers that will happen. The ability to see the method, the parameters. We do have like very sophisticated users on Utila that are actually looking to the bits and bytes that we are giving them as a visibility layer before approving and signing any smart contract interaction. Besides that, I mentioned before that one of the things that we provide is a policy engine for internal operations. So our policy engine doesn't support necessarily only like simple transfers of like moving 5 Bitcoins and then saying, okay, if Ashton is moving more than $500, and then I need the approval of 2 out of 4, etc. But we also have the same kind of capabilities for smart contract calls, for actions like burning, minting tokens, and different like function calls when it comes to smart contract interaction. So we built the ability for institutions to set like very specific permission flows on different types of DeFi interactions. We also have the ability to see DeFi positions from the Utila platform. So we provide, full visibility into wallet balances, exchange balances, and DeFi positions today or historically. So I would say that in the end of the day, we see also a lot of success when it comes to RWA projects, exchanges, liquid funds, etc.
That's great to know. And you mentioned there about burning tokens or managing. Is there, especially when you start getting into RWA tokenization or even just creating a token for a business, is that something that you guys can help manage as well if they're actually creating tokens?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to issuing, right, like a token, it can be a stable coin, it can be a tokenized money market fund, right? It can be a tokenized real estate, it can be tokenized gold. We also have a client like that. In the end of the day, there are like a few steps, right? So I'm talking mostly from the technological perspective. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a compliance person, but I know exactly what they need when it comes to security and infrastructure. So one thing, of course, is a smart contract. Okay, behind every tokenized asset, you have actually a smart contract. So organizations need, the capabilities to be able to write a smart contract. When it comes to stablecoins, actually, many of those smart contracts should not be very different than, let's say, the one of USDC. For some other assets, it might be a bit more complex. We do have partners there. So we do help some of our clients also with, like writing the smart contract and do it in a secure way. We partner with players like Liberia, Uniform Labs, etc. there. Then the next step will be, okay, now we have the smart contract, how we do run secure burning and minting operations. Okay, so how do we manage the private key of the admin wallet of the smart contract? How we do set policies and permissions about who can mint, who should approve every minting, who should approve every minting of a lot of tokens, right? And then in Utila, you can actually set different policies and mint and burn directly from the platform. So you can import your smart contract of the asset that you want to tokenize. Then the next step will be that you can actually set burning and minting policies, and then you can actually burn and mint utilizing our platform. Then you get actually the tokens into your Utila wallets that you specified. And then the next step will be probably spreading them across your partners, liquidity providers, exchanges, some other channels. And also there, you can utilize our whitelisting mechanism, operational workflow, so for how you move money around, transaction policies, etc. So it's a pretty full solution there, including other things I mentioned, balances, reconciliation, etc.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of functionality for different businesses to explore, from the basics to being so in depth. And what do you think from a high level, businesses that aren't yet in crypto, or they're looking to sort of integrate some of their operations into crypto, what are the key pieces of all the things that Utila offers and in general in the industry that are going to drive more businesses to get involved in crypto?
So I would say first and foremost, more clarity around the regulation. Serious organizations, in the end of the day, they need to understand exactly how they need to operate in different jurisdictions. So Mika, Dora is a good example. Last week, I was in Hong Kong at Consensus. I met the HKMA. They're also working now on regulation framework for stablecoins. So, seeing more and more like official frameworks for that is super important to drive adoption. Second piece I would say is like security and good infrastructure. In the end of the day, that's a must-have, right? Like events like Bybit, they are bad. They are bad for the market. They are bad for the adoption. And I think having a good set of tools that enable you to run this kind of operation securely, easily, is critical. Okay, so I would say it's mostly about these two parts, like good technology, good and secure technology, and also regulatory clarity. If you have both of them, you can succeed.
Definitely. No, I think that's a great basis, and I'm hoping we'll see some stablecoin regulation in some major jurisdictions, and I think that will just pave the way for businesses to get involved, and then all of a sudden they'll be going down the DeFi route and the tokenization and all of this once they have more of a green light. So I'm looking forward to that. And what is the best way for businesses to start dabbling in this if they're interested in using some of the operations that Utila has? Can they reach out to you or just go to the site and get started? How does that actually work to get into business?
It's pretty quick, yeah. Send me a message on Telegram, Ben from Utila, or just get to us through the website. And we had already multiple cases where someone reached out, and on the same day they already had like a Utila instance running. The good thing about us is that onboarding is a few minutes. That's all. It's very easy to set up an environment. We also have a lot of materials around the different parts of the system. So it's a pretty self-serve, easy to use user experience. You don't even need to talk to us in order to be able to run entire crypto operations in Utila. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. I appreciate the insights into all of this. I'm really hoping we can check all of the boxes and have more businesses get involved, and that the new administration helps pave the way and legislation around the world for businesses to jump on and utilize all of these amazing benefits of not just the stablecoin payments and off-ramps and on-ramps globally, but all of the other fun stuff that Web3 is innovating on. So I appreciate your insights, Bentzi. Wishing you and the team all the best at Utila moving forward, and would love to follow up again in the near future.
Thank you, Ashton. Thanks for hosting me, and it was a pleasure talking to you again.